Welcome back to the Pittsburgh Sports Saviors. It's 5:30, 9/29, 2024, following a loss that was very reminiscent of what we saw the last few years from the Steelers, I think. 27-24 loss to the Indianapolis Colts on the road. They got off to a 17-0 hole, and they could not get out of it as much as they tried late in that game. They ended up with a loss. Lee, initial thoughts and reactions from the Steelers' loss today.
Yeah, I it didn't even look like the Steelers. I don't even think they showed up today. Defense just couldn't get any stops, couldn't do anything. Not really any turnovers. It looked like the offense really couldn't do anything till those last, maybe the fourth quarter, beginning of the fourth quarter till the end is when things started maybe picking up for them, and they just couldn't get anything going. I mean, it definitely wasn't the Steelers we've seen the first 3 weeks.
Yeah, and we've been hyping up that defense, and today they laid an egg. There's no other way to put it. Starting from the beginning of the game, they just could not stop them on that first drive. Anthony Richardson gets hurt. They're bringing Joe Flacco, who, I mean, at this point with Flacco, what he did with the Browns last year and what he did today, it's to the point where I think someone needs to just pick him up to be their starter because he played great today for them, and the Steelers could not get them off the field, and it was third downs in like 5 and more. Like it wasn't like 3rd and 3s that they weren't getting off the field. It was 3rd and 8s, 3rd and 9s, and just constantly the Colts were able to convert. And it, like I said already, it was reminiscent of what has been the problems with this defense in the past, been not being able to get those stops when they need to get them.
Yeah.
And then the offense, same thing as last week where it was slow at the beginning, but this time around the opposing team was scoring. So it got ugly quick. They regrouped. They try to get back in this game. And then I think the biggest takeaway from this game is that final drive just was poorly managed from the beginning. Yeah. I know you want to go off on that, so I'll let you get some words in about that final drive and everything like that.
Yeah, I don't think I ever seen anything like that. I mean, that final drive, it starts with the botch snap where you got Fields on the replay. He's not even paying attention when he calls Hut, and the ball hits him in the face. And, we lose the yards, he recovers the fumble, but you have a timeout. Call timeout. Regroup. Let's clear our heads. Let's regroup and figure out what we're going to do, have a little game plan here. No, they don't call timeout. They let the clock run, and they run another play. And, I think it was like an incomplete pass or something happened. And then it's 3rd down. They throw the ball to Najee. He doesn't get out of bounds. And the clock's running again, and you don't call timeout again. Now it's 4th down and 10 or 11, and you don't call timeout because he just got a couple yards. And I'm thinking to myself, you have a timeout? Where's like the management? Where's the coaching? Where's the players? What is going on? Why is nobody calling timeout? Then they run a play, and then I think it was intercepted or almost intercepted right there at the end, and the game's over. And I'm thinking to myself, you wasted from the 2-minute warning all that time when you had one timeout where you could at least have regrouped off of the botched fumble. And if you don't do it there, even though you should have, you don't do it there, it's almost 4th down, or it's 4th down at that time where Najee gets tackled and he's still in bounds. Call timeout again, and you still don't. I don't know what happened. It reminds me of I think it was the 2018 or 2017 NBA Finals, Cavaliers and Warriors. There's a free throw that's missed. J.R. Smith grabs the ball. Now, the game is tied in this finals game. J.R. Smith grabs the ball and just is trying to run the clock out. It's like he didn't even know that the game was tied. He thought they were winning. LeBron James is trying to get the ball. He's trying to call timeout. The clock runs out, and he blew the game right there where there could have been a final shot where somebody could have made it. It was just the same thing. Nobody's calling timeout, and they're just going along with it. I don't get it. I don't know what happened. Yeah. I don't know what happened.
So, just to give some context to everything, that fumbled snap was at 1:43 in the fourth quarter. The next play does not go off until 1:14. So 30 seconds come off the clock on that one single play in a situation where you're already going to be backed up on a 2nd and 22. There's just no logic behind not calling a timeout.
Yeah.
You didn't know your team had a timeout. That's the only excuse you can have, is like that he didn't know, and that's indefensible as an excuse.
Yeah.
It's very tough to see what was going on there. But yeah, they ended up, by the time that play ended, the next play, it was 1:07 on the clock. So there was almost 40 seconds off the clock on a play that should have been. You got to call time out there. You got to let your quarterback regroup. His adrenaline's probably high from the fumble and trying to recover the fumble, trying to get on the ball and all that. So it's rough. And there's not really any excuse. And then, okay, you decide not to use it. Anytime you have a 4th and 11 and the clock is running, there's zero reason to not call timeout there. That's another play where that's another 30 seconds that went off the clock. 3rd and 22. What happened at 1:07? 4th and 11 happened at 37. So another 30 seconds in between there too. Just from a clock management standpoint, it's just both those situations are obvious situations where you're going to use a timeout, and they decided not to use a timeout. We'll listen to Tomlin later. I don't know if anyone's going to ask him about it. I hope they do, but it was just a poor decision on his part. I don't understand what they were going for there, and it's rough. Going to individual performances for the game, Fields was very shaky at the beginning of the game. He ended up getting sacked 4 times in the game for 30 yards in sacks. He settled in. Ended up going 22 of 34 for 312 yards, 1 TD, which are great numbers for him to have. 104 passer rating, and then he added 10 carries for 55 yards and 2 TDs. So the box score makes this look out to be his best game of the year, but there was shakiness that led to that 17-0 hole. But he did bring them back. You got to give him credit for that. Like I said before, it was reminiscent of what Pickett would do, where he'd fucking suck and then come back and have a decent second half. But Fields did better than a lot of those games. Pickett really hardly ever got over 300 yards. I don't think, maybe once if he was lucky as a Steeler. But it was still shaky. 4 sacks were rough. Najee Harris, 13 carries for 19 yards. You just can't have that. And it's tough to give him excuses because Kadero Patterson, when he was healthy and in that game, 6 carries, 43 yards. And it wasn't like some big long run. His long was 12 yards. So he just was getting good yardage on each of those carries there. Pickens ends up with 7 catches for 113 yards. Freiermuth, 5 catches, 57 yards at TD. I think big turning point. I don't even know if there was a turning point really, because they came back. I couldn't even tell you a turning point in that game. Is there any turning point you saw that changed that game?
Not really. I mean, because even when they scored, the touchdown and it was 17-10, the Colts still went down and scored again. I mean, we couldn't even stop them, and then of course, we go down and score again. But, then they kick a field goal. We hold them to a field goal, and we're hoping that, maybe, it's within 3. But, there really wasn't a turning point, you could say, because they still exchanged points with us, So, yeah, I couldn't even say there was one.
Yeah, just running through the first half to just get it out there. Colts come out, go 8 plays, 70 yards. The defense looks terrible in the first drive. Steelers go 8 plays, 29 yards. The next drive, punt. Colts come back and score another touchdown. 9 plays, 86 yards. And on that drive, Anthony Richardson hurts his hip, and it ends up bringing Joe Flacco. And Joe Flacco comes in at the pit 29-yard line, scores a touchdown, makes it look easy. I don't know what to go with that there. Next drive, Steelers go 4 plays, 9 yards. It ends with a 4th and 1 try, and it's a shotgun run with Fields. It just isn't the play you want in that situation. No gain. They ended up giving the ball back to the Colts. Colts come back and get a field goal. So you're down 13-0 before the end of the there was one drive into the second quarter. Actually, I apologize on that. So they did score that at the end of the beginning of the fucking second quarter. Anyway, couple punts in a row. Then the Steelers have one of their best drives of the game. 9 plays, 91 yards, but it ends with a fumble by George Pickens. He's trying to get a few extra yards. The ball is loosely in his hands. It falls out. Colts get the ball back. Do punt on that drive. finally, at the end of the half, the Steelers get a field goal, make it 17-3 at half. At that point in the game, you're thinking Steelers get the ball back at half, so you're hoping that that field goal can change the momentum up a little bit. But any other thoughts on that first half as I ran through all that?
No, it just seemed like there was nothing getting going in that first half, and that was something that we've been seeing all season, where the defense really wasn't doing much the first half, but they actually allowed the other team to score points and get themselves into a big deficit like that in that first half, and the offense wasn't moving, and it was starting to look like the Steelers of last season. And it was starting to get a little scary in that. It was really getting scary in that first half.
So it does not happen the way the Steelers won it. They end up first drive of the second half, punt, 6 plays, 22 yards. They force the Colts to punt. The Steelers get the ball. In one of the worst third down plays you can see. You're in field goal range already after a good return. And you go 3 plays, negative 22 yards because of a fumble by Justin Fields where he just doesn't get rid of the ball. You were at the Colts 33-yard line, and you end up fumbling. You run backwards 15 yards, you fumble the ball, and it ends up with the Colts. An awful play by Fields there, an awful decision not to just throw the ball away, take the field goal. Luckily, on the next drive, the Colts miss their field goal as the defense slows them down, gets 4 plays, 6 yards. Steelers get the ball back after that missed field goal, score a touchdown, 6 plays, 56 yards. And here comes a stretch where the Steelers offense was playing very well. So that made it 17-10. Colts come back to get a touchdown, like you were saying, to make it 24-10, 10 plays, 70 yards. And, I mean, Joe Flacco just was doing whatever he wanted for most of this game against the Steelers. Steelers do come back, get a touchdown of their own. 8 plays, 70 yards, make it 24-27. But once again, the Colts are able to get a field goal to make it 27-17 on a 10-play, 54-yard drive. Steelers come back, 7 plays, 70-yard drive, make it 24-27. And then the Steelers need the defense to make a stop, and they do. They do their job here. We've been talking about how you want to see that. And the Steelers defense got the stop they needed at the end here. 3 plays, negative 5 yards for the Colts, ends in a punt. Steelers get that ball back, and we've talked about that final drive where it just was a mess from the beginning. They end up going 7 plays, 24 yards. That's the final 27-24. And
we got a guest here. We got
Jessica. Here. Jessica, what were your thoughts on that final drive? We'll start there.
Awful. I got nothing to say. You guys already said it. I'm listening from the other room, and timeout needed to be taken to regroup. And I got nothing else besides that I'm embarrassed to go to work tomorrow because I talked so much shit on the Indy fans. It's going to be a long day.
Why would you do that?
Ugh. My team won today, by the way.
When'd you become a Buccaneer fan?
Oh.
Couple years ago.
Tell me about your history with the Bucs.
Oh.
Couple years ago.
Are you a big Brad Johnson fan?
Don't know.
What about Rondé Barber?
I heard of him.
Warren Sapp, Derek Brooks. That was a great defense. That was when you were growing up, huh? You just loved that Tampa defense. It was Tony Dungy implemented that Tampa defense, and then John Gruden came in and finished the job. You love that team, huh?
I do. I love Godwin and I love Evans, and the points that they gave me today on all my fantasy leagues. I have them both. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you very much.
Wow.
So, what do you have to say to all your Colt fans at work?
I apologize. I'll probably clip this and send that little bit. I'm sorry.
My bad.
If I could take a sick day tomorrow, I would.
Oh, you might need to. Oh, that was just a brutal final drive. Poor mismanagement, poor coaching, just poor everything. I don't even know I don't even know what that was. Like I don't know. You can't make an excuse that you didn't know you didn't have a timeout. You can't.
We got the guy.
Excuse.
We got the guy. I know what he's going to say. We're about to put Tomlin on. If they ask him, he's going to say, we needed to save that for a kick at the end there, which is just.
Well, before that, let me run through some team stats before we.
Okay.
Let me do that real quick.
Okay, producer.
Sorry about that.
Taking charge.
Real quick.
That's the feedback we've been given.
Just run this down real quick. Again, final score.
I'll run you down, Pat.
Final score, 27-24 Colts over the Steelers. Total yards, Steelers had 403 to the Colts 358. Pass yards, Steelers had 282 to the Colts 225. Rush yards, Steelers had 121 to the Colts 133. Now, that was something we talked about the other day, how they had stopped like the Chargers coming into week 3 being the big running team, and they gave up 133 yards to the Colts here. Yards per play, Steelers at 5.9. Yards per play to the Colts 5.6. First downs were the same. They each had 23. Third down efficiency, Steelers had 6 for 13 to the Colts 8 for 15. Something you talked about earlier today. They could not stop them on those third and longs to get off the field, and they couldn't stop them. 8 for 15. Fourth down, the Colts did not go for it. We went for it twice and didn't get it. Total plays were about the same. Steelers had 68, Colts had 64. Like you mentioned earlier, the Steelers were sacked 4 times to the Colts twice. There were 4 punts by the Colts and 3 by the Steelers. Penalty yards, again, something we've been talking about again. Steelers 6 for 53 to the Colts 4 for 38. You also mentioned this. Steelers fumbled the ball twice. Colts did not fumble. There were no interceptions, and time of possession was 31 minutes and 7 seconds to the Steelers, to the Colts 28 minutes and 53 seconds. So like you said, the third down efficiency, they could not stop the Colts on those third and longs. Still giving up silly penalties, and they gave up a lot of rush yards, something we hadn't seen the first couple of weeks. But like you mentioned, that defense just did not show up today. I just don't know what happened.
Yeah, it was a rough one. Those stats you threw out, I think that's how you end up with a 27-24 score. -2 turnover differential's big there. The 8 of 15 on third down's big there. Bad game for the defense.
Yeah,
let's go to Tomlin now if I'm allowed.
You're allowed.
I did. And I own that. We own that. Questions? I do not. I hadn't had a chance to talk to any of the parties involved to this point.
Kept responding to their scores.
As I mentioned, I'm appreciative of the fight, but I'm not congratulating them for it. That's the business that we're in.
I'll get off the field on third down.
I thought they had some nice things going with downs, in particular, some option routes. I thought, in particular, I thought we got comfortable there in the third quarter. When you work all week to defend Richardson and then you get Flacco, it's a little bit different, and it probably took us a little too long to adapt and adjust in some areas.
How did you think Justin played?
Again, I appreciate his fight, but he and we were a little bit sloppy at times, too sloppy to comfortably secure victory.
You got to pause that. You have to pause that. Hold on a second. I don't know if you heard what he just said. They were not able to adapt to Joe Flacco. Have they not played Joe Flacco in the past for multiple years? Are you going to tell me they don't know how to adapt to him? He was on those Ravens teams for years.
I think his point more was that there's the difference in play styles between Richardson and Flacco, so that they had planned for a running quarterback, and instead they got Flacco. It's not a great excuse, especially when he's saying that the third quarter was shaky when Flacco was starting in the first quarter. So they had 2 quarters to adjust. They had a halftime to adjust. What they've done great this year so far is adjust at halftime, and they did not do that today. They gave up scores on multiple drives in a row, and that made the game just too far out of reach. So there's no excuse on that part. But I think that's what he meant more than anything else.
I get it, but it's like they've played Flacco before. I mean, they know him. I mean, I understand that you got new players on the team, but Mike Tomlin and John Harbaugh have played against each other so long, and Flacco was on those Ravens teams. You can't say you don't. I get it. I get that you go against a running quarterback, but you've seen Joe Flacco in the past. So, like you said, they could have made adjustments in that second half, and like you said, they didn't.
Jess?
I 100% agree.
With who? Which one?
With
Both.
Lee. It's
Okay.
Joe Flacco. Like, Tomlin's played him how many times a season?
That's what I'm saying.
Like, come on now. He just did the same shit.
Joe Flacco is cool in the pocket.
Look, he looked amazing out there.
He did. He did everything. Like Jim said, he did anything he wanted to us on that defense.
It was smooth Joe Cole.
That's what he was used to doing.
That's why he's elite.
That's a bring Tomlin back.
To comfortably secure victory.
Why did you use the timeout on the last drive?
Why didn't I? I just wanted to hold it in my hip pocket. Sometimes working at a pace is advantage for an offense. It doesn't give the defense an opportunity to get specialized people in the game, to ponder calls and get imperfect calls. And, I was comfortable working at pace, and I just wanted to keep it in our hip pocket in case we converted and got down the field.
For when?
I got to listen to this again. I really have to listen to this again. Just to make sure I heard everything I heard from him.
Yeah.
Why did you use the timeout on the last drive?
Why didn't I? I just wanted to hold it in my hip pocket. Sometimes working at a pace is advantage for an offense. It doesn't give the defense an opportunity to get specialized people in the game, to ponder calls and get imperfect calls. And, I was comfortable working at pace, and I just wanted to keep it in our hip pocket in case we converted and got down the field.
Wow. Okay. So the pace was gone. You found the ball and you're down. You're not second 22. There's no pace on your offense right there.
No.
Who's he holding it for? Next week?
You're the one that needs a special. You're the one that needs a change and specialized people in the game on a third or second and 22. You need to let your quarterback get a breather. I don't know.
I feel that was admission of I didn't know we had a timeout.
No, he said he was keeping it in his hip pocket. He wants to
for
keep
next week. Like, what's he keeping it for? We needed it right now.
Your quarterback fought, or there was a fumble. It was second and 22. 30 seconds ran off. 40 seconds ran off the clock.
And third and 22.
And then
what are you doing?
And then it's like there was also an admission there that you're worried that their coaching and their ability to talk to each other is more valuable than your coaching and your ability to talk through a 4th and 11. You're at a 4th and 11. You want to put your best play out there. You want to scheme something up. You shouldn't be worrying about what the other side wants to do. You should be able to have a play ready that you can do in that situation, that you can have your guys ready to go. And instead, you just throw a quarterback out there who I don't know what to say. Go on.
I mean, but at what point can a player call timeout?
You can always call timeout, but your coach is not asking for it, so you don't do it. You wouldn't just do it on your own. You can't do that.
Tom Brady would have.
Well, Tom Brady would. No one would do that. If it was a instant reaction to call timeout, like by Najee, I guess that could count for something. But no, I don't see that as something that a player should be doing.
I just don't get it. I mean, you're waiting to get the specialized players into the game. The clock.
No, he didn't want the Colts to get their specialized players.
The clock's running. The
so that means they can't get it
running.
It's in his pocket. He's got this.
What? He lost 40 seconds the first one, and then he lost another 30 seconds. That was a minute and 10 seconds right there lost.
Let's just see if it stays in his pocket. Keep going.
Let's keep going. Let's get back.
Jesus.
Advantage of shotgun on 4th and inches or 4th and 1.
Everybody plays in shotgun and pistol football these days, man. Some of these guys get to the NFL level and they've never taken a snap from center with their hands under. It's just kind of a function of today's ball. You got a lot of things at your disposal. I don't think your running game is minimized in any way. There's too many teams that run the ball extremely well out of that posture. The Baltimore Ravens, for example. I think it's a moot point in today's game.
You were sloppy, but why do you think you guys got off to such a slow start?
I think a component of it is just giving credit to them, and that's why I opened this press conference the way that I did, acknowledging how they came out of the locker room.
You guys, you started in nickel, I think, the first couple of series. You stayed in it, and they were hurting. What were they doing to take advantage of that?
The first series, they had some design quarterback runs, and that's 11-on-11 football. If you got a free safety in the middle of the field, they got numbers on you. And so there's, again, there were things that happened at the early stages of the game that are really insignificant in terms of the outcome of the game. Starts are just that, starts. I thought the significant component of the outcome of the game is obviously the turnover game and some of the self-inflicted wounds that we had.
I don't know about all that. Obviously, there was chances to come back, but getting down 17-0, no one wants to go down 17-0 to start.
He blew it. He blew the game. And I don't know if you heard, I think it was the first question when you just played it again. He said there was something about they went shotgun on a 4th and 1 or something.
Yeah, that was the fourth one.
He said that some guys come into this league not being able to having their hands under for a handoff like that. Are you telling me that really happens?
Yes, yes. College football there's teams that just run only shotgun.
Wow.
And there's quarterbacks that just don't know how to do it. Fields was in a similar situation to that in college, but he's had 40 starts in the pros where he's been under center plenty. Although he keeps tripping over the center or fumbling the ball himself under center. Maybe they're worried that was going to happen because he did trip earlier. He got stepped on by the center earlier in the game, so maybe they were worried that was going to happen. But there's no excuse not to just run the ball. Just do a QB sneak there. It's 4th and 1. Just go and get the first down. You are getting cute when you go into shotgun. And it didn't work out. You can't really say anything other than that about it.
Had they not learned from the Eagles? I mean, that fucking 4th and 1 tush push that they do all the time fucking works. You're gonna tell me you couldn't do that?
Yeah, it's a troubling answer, I think, to bring up the fact that some quarterbacks can't even go under center, because we know that Fields does it during the game. That's Arthur Smith's system is pretty much under the center for the most part. Jess,
Yeah.
thoughts?
I just think it's still funny that he referenced the Ravens and Joe Flacco beat us today. So I'm just going to carry on.
Carrying on.
Off to a slow start like that, and they're off to a hot start, getting up 17-0. Did you guys consider something like up tempo or something to get the?
We didn't think time was of the essence. We felt
Clearly.
Of course not.
After the game, first we had to stop
Go in our
kicking our own
pocket.
butt, and so that's got nothing to do with pace and things of that nature. That's just execution oriented.
Did you ponder blitzing Flacco more in the second half once you?
No, we didn't feel like thinning out our coverage was appropriate. Flacco is a much more proficient passer than Richardson, and so blitzing doesn't necessarily help you. A veteran guy makes quick and prudent decisions. Didn't feel good, and obviously we got experience competing against Joe Flacco.
Anyone else? All right.
So there you go, Lee. He said he got experience playing against Joe Flacco.
He wasn't prepared, though.
Wasn't prepared though, I guess. Did you hear what he said? He said, "Oh, we weren't pressured on time and pace and things like that. You wasted all your time. Of course, you weren't fucking worried about it. You wasted the fucking time. What the fuck are you doing?"
He was talking about in the first half. I don't want to be the Tomlin defender, but I guess I got to keep doing it. He was talking about in the first half that they didn't have to go up tempo because he thought they could get back in the game, and obviously they did get back in the game. The problem was they kept giving up in the second half. What luck? What was the luck?
I don't know. We just started making plays out of luck.
No, they had 2 turnovers too. The one didn't stall drive, but the one was in the red zone. So you got another that's another score that they should have had that they didn't get. I think Tomlin's right on the tempo problem. There was no problem with the tempo. The problem is that they couldn't execute on defense, and then that final drive was one of the worst drives you'll see when it comes to clock management from a head
I can't
coach.
get past that. That's why I'm stuck.
Yeah, but I mean, there's not an excuse for it. And his idea of his thought process is literally, we're going to hold this timeout because we might need to call a timeout with 4 seconds left so we can get our field goal kicker on the field. You got to get in the field goal range first.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Things change.
He can't. Let him get there.
When that drive starts, maybe you're thinking, we're not going to use this timeout. We're going to go up tempo. But when the fucking ball smacks off your quarterback's helmet and goes back in 12 yards and it's 2nd and 22, you call timeout to give him a fucking breather.
Yeah.
Let him clear his head and get a good play going. Instead, he's rushing back to the line, takes 30 seconds off the clock. It was one of the worst Tomlin drives we've seen from a clock management, and that's saying something because he's had a long career, and that's always been a problem of his use of timeouts. Why do the Steelers always end up only having 1 timeout or no timeouts at the end of the game? It's just always the case. There's always a wasted timeout. He wasted a timeout in the first half, trying that challenge on a play that it was an obvious you're not going to win this challenge situation. Yeah. I just don't know what it is. The Steelers never have 3 timeouts at the end of a game.
Never.
They never have 3 timeouts at the end of a game.
That is, I mean, one of the truest statements you could say about them. They never have 3 timeouts when it matters. They don't. I don't get it. Like you said, it's wasted timeouts, wasted clock management. Just poor coaching decisions. You would think you would learn from your previous mistakes when it comes to this clock management, timeouts, things like that. But over the years, they continuously make the same mistake over and over and over again when it comes to this clock management and timeouts.
And the hilarity is he wouldn't even have had that timeout if the Colts didn't decide to throw the ball on 3rd down in the previous drive instead of just but maybe Steichen knew he didn't have to worry about the timeout situation with Tomlin because he was going to keep that in his fucking hip pocket.
Keep it in my pocket.
Keep it in his fucking. It's not like you can use it next game. Like, what the fuck? Use it.
He was going to use it with 4 seconds left.
Jesus, yeah. 4 seconds left. Boswell kicking an 80-yard field goal. Yeah. Jeez, Louise.
It's been real. I'm going back to
I'll see you, Jess.
I don't know. Thank you for joining.
Welcome.
Anyway,
I just, like you said, I want to just kind of go back to some of these team stat things real quick. Giving up the 133 yards on the ground just, killed us. Of course, penalty yards again. It's like it just seems like it's a continuous thing each week. And the 3rd down efficiency, 8 for 15 for the Colts. How do you not stop them on 3rd and long? Like those are drives you have to stop on defense. And Joe Flacco torched them.
Go on a little rant. I got a phone call real quick. I got to take just in case.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I don't understand what happened. This is just a repeated thing. These penalties are 6 for 53. That's 53 extra yards. It may not seem like a lot, but that's 53 extra yards that the Steelers have given up to the Colts today. They could not stop the run, 133 yards. They came in. We talked about it earlier this week. The Steelers having the number 1 defense. Obviously, that's going to change now with how this happened. Holding teams under 10 points. Well, that's going to change now after you just gave up 27 to the Colts, who were 1-2. You can't stop them on 3rd downs. Like they couldn't stop a nosebleed, today. 8 for 15. There were times it was 3rd and 7, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 10, and you can't stop them. I don't understand. It's like somebody else showed up for the defense today. There was nobody there. You're winning the time of possession, you have more yards than you think that you would be playing better. The score does not justify the game. And, just how that first half went and just how some of these, these decisions and stats and things have happened and the way things went. If the Steelers would have won today, they wouldn't have deserved it just because of just how things played out. I don't get it, but they lost. I picked them winning. They now get their first loss of the season. They're now 3-1. I don't know. Next week, we'll talk later, but next week's going to be another tough one. But if they continue to play like this and have poor coaching and poor decisions like this, they're not going to succeed, down the road.
Yeah, 9-0 is out the window, but I think they're better off. I'd rather have the non-9-0 start if they're going to end up 10-7 one way or the other. I had the Steelers winning this game too, but I do have them 4-1 at this point. I had them losing to the Chargers, obviously, but I think we're letting the defense off the hook a little bit so far. We're talking a lot about the decisions Tomlin made and everything like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, the defense. We were talking like they could be historically great, and they just told us no, that's not going to be the case this year.
Yeah.
Joe Flacco just tore it up on you, and that just proves that if you come on and there's a good passer, they have a shot to make some good plays down the field on the Steelers. So that is something that's concerning to me. I did not catch everything you were saying because I was dealing with Mr. Toomey and his TV problems. He's got something wrong with his TV, so I'm going to be helping him out with that. Do you have any other final thoughts on the game?
No, the defense definitely let us down today. they did not show up. They gave up too many big plays. And this is something, even going into last season and in the previous seasons, it seems like a lot of times when the backups come in, or sometimes there's a rookie or, first year starter, whatever comes in, sometimes they just light us up and it's like, we can't stop them. I don't understand,
Yeah.
You have this elite defense that's all this money to them, and they couldn't stop a nosebleed today. It's not like the Colts were, were like the 49ers or Chiefs or, somebody bigger that we were playing today. But it just seemed like we just could not do anything.
Yep. And then we got the final comment here up on the board. It's a Jassy the Therian has something to say. Final drive. Terrible final drive.
Yeah.
She also asked me what my wine is. Sadly, I have no clue. I just opened any bottle. Nakedwines.com. Great service. Got 12 bottles of wine for $88. What's that? That's under under $6 a wine, right? No,
yeah, something like that. Yeah,
under $7, about $7 a wine. You're gonna try it. Great wine. Nakedwines.com. Other than that,
Jazzy the Therian, thanks for watching. Appreciate it. Thanks for the comment.
Sadly, I got nothing more. There we go. Hashtag Naked Wines.
Yeah, there you go.
Hashtag Naked Wines. There
you go.
I have nothing more for you, Lee. Do you have anything for me other than that?
I have nothing more.
Disappointing loss for the Steelers.
Disappointing loss, and
next week,
look forward.
Cowboys.
Yeah, next week Cowboys. I look forward to speaking with you later this week on that. Maybe some final thoughts on this, and then we look forward to the Cowboys for next Sunday, Sunday night. So I look forward to that, and I have nothing else to say. Just disappointing loss today. I hope the Steelers can show up tomorrow, next Sunday.
Hashtag Naked Wines.
Hashtag.
Forgot that.